Cabinda is a small territory of 7,283 square kilometers in west-central Africa with a population of about 300,000. It borders the Atlantic Ocean to the west, the Republic of Congo to the north, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, to the east and south. A narrow strip of DRC territory along the north bank of the Congo River separates Cabinda from the Angolan province of Zaire. More than 20,000 Cabindans live in refugee camps in the DRC and Congo. The Enclave of Cabinda originates from the old Kingdoms of Makongo, Mangoyo, and Maluangu. Cabinda was first recognized as a political entity by the 1885 Treaty of Simulambuco, signed between local traditional leaders and the Portuguese Crown. The treaty envisioned Portuguese protection over the people of the region to counter colonial expansion in the Congo Basin carried out by Belgium's King Leopold II. Cabinda was initially administered separately from Angola, as a protectorate rather than as a colony, but in the 1930s, Portuguese dictator António de Oliveira Salazar sought to exercise tighter control over the country's overseas possessions, declared Angola a province of Portugal and brought Cabinda under the same administrative structure as Angola. After Angola gained independence from Portugal in 1975, Cabinda was administered as a province the former. Cabinda is a province of Angola separated from the rest of the country by the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. It is a port enclave bordering the DRC and the Republic of Congo. However, the border between Cabinda and the Republic of Congo played an important role in Angola's political history, particularly in its independence. Indeed, the Congolese government supported Angola of Agostinho Neto in the 1970s. At that time, José Eduardo dos Santos, current president of Angola, was the branch of the MPLA, People's Movement for the Liberation of Angola, based in Congolese territory. This movement has been able to organize and strengthen thanks to the porous character of the border separating the Cabinda from the Republic of Congo. The MPLA has thus actively participated in the liberation of Angola against the Portuguese grip. Conversely, the return to power of President Sassou Nguesso was strongly supported in 1997 by the current Angolan government. On October 11, 1997, the Angolan Air Force bombed the presidential palace of Lasuba, then Congolese president and competitor of Sassou Nguesso. Angola has therefore participated in the impeachment of Congolese President Lasuba in the profile of Sassou Nguesso's return to power. There are now some proximity between the Angolan president and the Congolese president. Nevertheless, this relationship seems more complex than it seems. During the 1990s, in the Republic of Congo, Lasuba and Sassou Nguesso competed for power. On the Angola side, a civil war has been raging since 1975 between the MPLA and UNITA, National Union for the Total Independence of Angola. UNITA is directed by Savimbi and supported by Lasuba, while the MPLA, directed from 1992 by José Eduardo dos Santos, is supported by Sassou Nguesso. This alliance between José Eduardo dos Santos and Sassou Nguesso is therefore part of contexts of questioning their respective power. Although there is a certain closeness between these two political figures at times, we cannot speak of an unchanging alliance. In addition, the links between Cabinda and the Republic of Congo have long been intertwined. Close links exist between the populations on both sides of the border, in some cases there are even family ties. Thus strong of these relations, the Front pour la Libération de l'Enclave de Cabinda, FLEC, was born in 1974 on Congolese soil. Since then, the FLEC has been the central player in the fight for Cabinda's independence, and its members are still traveling between Cabinda and the Republic of Congo. It can therefore be noted that until now the facilities of crossing between the border of the province of Cabinda and the Republic of Congo did not seem to pose major problems to the governments of the two states. Cabinda, northern exclave of Angola, on the west, Atlantic, coast of Africa north of the Congo River estuary. It is bordered by the Republic of the Congo to the north and northeast and is separated from Angola by part of the Democratic Republic of the Congo to the south and southeast. Its coastline extends for 56 miles, 90 kilometers, and its greatest width is 70 miles, 113 kilometers. With continued offshore oil discoveries, crude oil has become Cabinda's dominant export. The production of timber, palm oil, and kernels, cocoa, and coffee has declined since the rise of the local oil industry. The chief town, Cabinda, is an oil port on the right bank of the Bele, Lulundo, River. From the mid-1970s the region was disrupted by guerrilla activities of various factions of the Front for the Liberation of the Enclave of Cabinda, FLEC, as well as other groups, which were fighting for Cabindan independence from Angola. In 2004 some of the groups formed an umbrella organization, Cabinda Forum for Dialogue, which also included civil and religious groups, and their demands for independence intensified. The organization and the Angolan government signed a peace accord in 2006, largely ending the conflict in the exclave, although skirmishes occurred sporadically after that. Beginning in 2016, there was a resurgence in fighting as FLEC increased its attacks on Angolan military forces in Cabinda. Area 2,807 square miles, 7,270 square km. Cabinda, formerly called Portuguese Congo, Congo, Cabinda, is an exclave and province of Angola, a status that has been disputed by several political organizations in the territory. The capital city is also called Cabinda, known locally as Chiawa, or Kaiwa. The province is divided into 4 municipalities: Belize, Bukosa, Cabinda and Kakongo. Modern Cabinda is the result of a fusion of 3 kingdoms, Mangoyo, Maluangu, and Kakongo. It has an area of 7,290 square kilometers, 2,810 square miles, and a population of 716,076 at the 2014 census. The latest official estimate, as at mid-2019, is 824,143. According to 1988 United States government statistics, the total population of the province was 147,200, with a near-even split between rural and urban populations. At one point an estimated one-third of Cabindans were refugees living in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. However, after the 2007 peace agreement, refugees started returning to their homes. Cabinda is separated from the rest of Angola by a narrow strip of territory belonging to the Democratic Republic of the Congo, formerly known, up until 1960, as the Belgian Congo, which bounds the province on the south and the east. Cabinda is bounded on the north by the Republic of the Congo, formerly known as French Congo, and on the west by the Atlantic Ocean. Adjacent to the coast are some of the largest offshore oil fields in the world. Petroleum exploration began in 1954 with the Cabinda Gulf Oil Company, when the territory was under Portuguese rule. Cabinda also produces hardwoods, coffee, cacao, rubber, and palm oil products. However, petroleum production accounts for most of Cabinda's domestic product. Cabinda produces 700,000 barrels, 110,000 cubic meters, of crude oil per day. Cabinda oil is associated with Sonangol, Ajip Angolilda, 41%, Chevron, 39.2%, Total Energies, 10%, and ENI, 9.8%. In 1885, the Treaty of Simulambuco established Cabinda as a protectorate of the Portuguese Empire, and Cabindan independence movements consider the occupation of the territory by Angola illegal. While the Angolan Civil War largely ended in 2002, an armed struggle persists in the exclave of Cabinda. Some of the factions have proclaimed an independent Republic of Cabinda, with offices in Paris. Nestled on the central west coast of Africa, Cabinda is a territory of Angola, an exclave, separated from the rest of the country by the DRC, Democratic Republic of the Congo. On the other side of Cabinda is Republic of the Congo. It has an interesting and dramatic history. This territory, one of colonialism and struggle for independence, past and present. You have heard of French Congo and Belgian Congo, today, known as Congo Brazzaville and Congo Kinshasa, or DRC, respectively. Back in colonial days, there was also a Portuguese Congo. Had it gained independence like the other two, it might have been called Congo Cabinda today. Cabinda is the result of three kingdoms merging, Mangoyo, Maluangu, and Congo. In 1885, Portugal signed the Treaty of Simulambuco with Mangoyo, and Cabinda became a Portuguese protectorate. And so it remained until 1975, when Portugal granted Angola independence, and Cabinda. Large groups of Cabindans were none too pleased, and decades of armed conflict ensued. For years, about 1/3 of Cabinda's population lived as refugees in the DRC. A peace agreement was signed in 2007, and many refugees returned, but there is still a strong independence movement here that considers Angolan sovereignty to be a legal occupation. One fraction, FLEC, Front for the Liberation of the Enclave of Cabinda, has proclaimed Cabinda an independent republic and is fighting to that end, at home and from exile in Paris. Perhaps an independent Cabinda will become a reality one day, but I'm afraid I'm not overly optimistic on Cabinda's behalf. Why? Oil, that's why. Angola is a rich country. Rich in natural resources, that is, including oil. 60% of that oil, a whopping 700,000 barrels of crude per day, are hoisted up from some of the largest offshore oil fields in the world, right here off the coast of Cabinda. Bad enough to have to give up territory, let alone petroleum reserves. As a result, Cabindan activists are arbitrarily arrested and detained. On top of that, international oil companies want a piece of the action, as well. American petroleum player Chevron is especially busy exploiting the oil fields here. Et voila, we have a new Kuwait. Africa's Kuwait. Another source of wealth is diamonds. With all those riches provided by nature, one could by rights expect Angola to be a good place to live for all its citizens. But sadly, the wealth is not exactly equally distributed. Cabinda is an exclave region of Angola separated from the rest of the country by a strip of land belonging to the Democratic Republic of the Congo. It is not a tourist's paradise. There isn't much to see, but more importantly it is hard to get in or go anywhere because of visa and other permit restrictions. Most visitors are on business in the petro sector. Cabinda used to be known as Portuguese Congo. The Portuguese did at times attempt to control the territory between Cabinda and the rest of their holdings in Southwest Africa, which would have made things a lot more convenient for the Angolans today. But the territorial discontinuity of what would become Angola was set by the 1884 Berlin Conference, which established that Leopold of Belgium's personal property of the Congo Free State would extend along the Congo River to the Atlantic. The Front for the Liberation of the Exclave of Cabinda, FLEC, has waged a secessionist struggle against the Angolan government since independence. The province's vast oil reserves, first explored by the Portuguese in the 1950s, guarantee that the Angolan government will use its powerful army to maintain tight control. Expect to see a very large military and police presence here. Thank you for watching this video.